Move the chains.
Welcome to the EndZone. Let's move the chains. This is the first of many episodes where I'm going to highlight the stories of football stars who overcame adversity and made it to a place where most people can never even dream of going, to the National Football League. This is XFL to NFL. PJ Walker. Record breaker, athlete, fighter, and winner. Before PJ Walker became a human highlight reel in the XFL, before Walker helped bring the Temple Owls back to relevance, and before Walker solidified himself as a quarterback with the Carolina Panthers, PJ was a high school standout out of Elizabeth, New Jersey, where he attended Elizabeth High School. Walker was an excellent dual sport athlete, playing basketball as well as football. In 2012, he threw for 2,168 yards and 18 touchdowns. And get this, in the New Jersey sectional final, Walker put on a show with video game-like numbers. 257 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, combined with 199 yards and a rushing touchdown to go along with it. His high school was able to win a state title in 2012, and he won multiple awards for his excellence on the field. Walker was rated a 3-star dual-threat quarterback by 247 Sports at 6'1", 195 pounds coming out of high school. He was recruited by the likes of Rutgers, UConn, James Madison, East Carolina, Toledo, and finally Temple, where he enrolled in 2013. He joined a new Temple regime under head coach Matt Rhule, who had just taken over after Steve Addazio, who left to coach Boston College. According to DelcoTimes.com, Matt Rhule said the following regarding PJ Walker and his recruitment. "We're excited about PJ Walker. He was down by 8 points in the state championship on his own 2-yard line and went down and won the game. And to me, that speaks volume. You want someone that everyone on the team follows, and he'll have to prove it at this level. But he stayed with us and he's got great mechanics. The previous staff identified him, saw his skill set, and saw the intangibles, and the kid stuck by Temple." In 2013, Connor Riley would start the season as QB1 for the Owls, but there was a growing sense that it was PJ's job to take at any point in the season. He earned his first start versus Cincinnati in Week 6, but the Bearcats topped the Owls 38-20. The following week, he earned his first win against the Army Black Knights. The rest of the season didn't go quite as planned, and Temple finished with a 2-10 record. Despite the poor season, Walker showed promise as a young playmaker. After an electric freshman year with 20 passing touchdowns and 8 interceptions, Walker fell into a bit of a sophomore slump with 13 air scores and 15 interceptions. The Owls did, however, improve to a 6-win season with a win over an SEC program and a ranked win versus East Carolina. After his sophomore campaign, though, everything changed.
And the quarterback takes it over from 1 yard out, and the Owls have the lead for the first time today.
Temple started off the season with a huge program win over Big Ten opponent Penn State, then managed to rip off 6 straight wins and earned a top 25 ranking. That brings us to October 31st.
Happy to be here. This is going to be a fun night.
Irish won the toss, and they want the football immediately.
Halloween night in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In front of a crowd of nearly 70,000 fans and a college game day attendance, the Temple Owls were set to play one of their biggest games in the history of the program. This was the first time the Owls were 7-0, and they hosted the number 9 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish in Philly on primetime. PJ Walker and Temple had a fourth quarter lead and almost came up with a historical win for the Temple Owls, but Deshaun Kaiser and the Irish came firing back with a game winner caught by current Miami Dolphins speedy wide receiver Will Fuller, who was a Philadelphia native.
Kaiser looks to the end zone, loops the throw, caught, touchdown, Will Fuller, hometown touchdown.
This Temple team reached the American Athletic Conference Championship, but lost to the eventual Peach Bowl champions and the 13-1 Houston Cougars. Although the year ended with a loss to Houston and eventually Toledo in the Boca Raton Bowl, it was truly a historical campaign for PJ Walker and the Owls, who finished with a respectable 10-4 record and 7-1 in the conference. Walker shattered multiple offensive records with over 3,000 offensive yards. In Walker's senior year, he led Temple to another 10-win season, and they won their first ever conference title in 49 years, where he beat Navy 34-10. Even more records were broken in 2016 as Walker cemented himself as an all-time great in Temple football history. He also had his number changed from 11 to 8 as voted on by his teammates. Single-digit numbers were earned exclusively for players toughest on the roster. Although he had an outstanding collegiate career, Walker would go undrafted in the 2017 NFL Draft. After the draft, PJ garnered interest from multiple NFL franchises and decided to sign with the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts signed and released Walker multiple times to and from the practice squad, and he was released for good in 2019. He did see some action in preseason. While playing with the Colts, Walker caught the attention of someone very important. Not a coach, not a scout, not a GM, but Indianapolis Colts starting quarterback and legend Andrew Luck. You see, Andrew Luck's dad, Oliver Luck, is a prominent figure in the football world and had been hired on by the new and improved XFL 2.0 to be the face and leader of the league. Andrew mentioned PJ to his dad, and sure enough, the Houston Roughnecks signed PJ Walker and he would play for June Jones, who interestingly enough coached against PJ as SMU's head coach during college. The rest was history. Walker beat out former Michigan State standout Connor Cook and eventually took the XFL by storm.
Out of the pocket is Walker. Wide open is Mobley again. This time they connect. Touchdown, Roughnecks.
With his deep bomb touchdowns and weekly acrobatic shows on the turf. In his first game, he put up 4 touchdowns against the LA Wildcats, and by week 5 had 16 total touchdowns, over 1,300 yards. The Roughnecks were undefeated and things were looking great. PJ was completing 65% of his passes, and people were noticing who PJ Walker was. But then COVID-19 hit America. The XFL was succeeding and giving players an opportunity to show off their talent, but the pandemic was too difficult to withstand for the new league. On March 20th, 2020, the XFL unfortunately suspended operations, and the best player in the Spring Football League was a free agent. It wasn't long before Walker received calls from the NFL once again, but things were different. Walker showed off his talents on a national stage with the XFL, and he proved himself as a solid option for many NFL teams. It just so happens his former Temple head coach Matt Rule expressed interest and signed Walker to the Carolina Panthers to a 2-year contract worth up to $1.5 million. In 2020, Walker played in 4 games and started 1. PJ had come in for Teddy Bridgewater for relief and some injuries sustained during the season. In week 17, Walker struggled tremendously, tossing 3 interceptions against the New Orleans Saints. He did, however, start a full game and get his first ever career NFL win as a quarterback against the Detroit Lions in week 11. He showed off his arm talent and dual threat abilities, and many NFL analysts gave him credit for playing a strong game. He finished the game with a 70% completion percentage, 258 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. In a short time with the Panthers, PJ Walker showed flashes of his greatness and actually played really well in his lone start of the season. Now he will be competing for the backup position behind Sam Darnold, and depending on if Darnold pays off, we may get to see more of PJ Walker, and his NFL journey will be far from over. PJ Walker is an important figure for spring football. He is an example that spring football leagues look for, the success story football fans everywhere dream of. PJ Walker never walked out on his dreams. He never quit, and he did something most human beings will never say. He made it to the National Football League. Thanks for watching the End Zone. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we can move the chains.